Welcome into the 247 Sports YouTube channel, aka Commit HQ. I'm Andrew Ivins, and today we have another commitment. Jaylen Heyward, the number 2 ranked safety in the class of 2024. He is set to make an announcement. He is down to 4 schools: Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and Ohio State. Jaylen is there on the Treasure Coast of Florida at Rockledge High School, and we're going to go right over to him right now and get the news from the man himself. Jaylen, how you doing, bud?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Obviously, your recruitment still have a year to go before you can sign anything, but you're someone that colleges have been communicating with for well over a year now. You've taken some visits. You got over 24 scholarship offers. Why don't you tell us why these 4 schools? Why'd you narrow your choices down to these 4?
I feel like these 4 schools can help me, academic wise and football wise. It's really all these schools are really inspirational to me, and all these 4 schools are top schools of mine.
Let's start at the top. Alabama. Everyone says Bama's Bama. Nick Saban, you're a DB. What stands out about the Crimson Tide?
Coach Saban is an amazing coach, and you got Coach T-Rob as well as a DB coach, and they can develop me really well.
Florida, that's a school that's right up the road from you. One of your teammates, Bryce Lovett, signed with the Gators last month. I think you took a few visits there during the season, at least one camp. You were inside the swamp. What do you like about the orange and blue?
I love, what I love about the orange and blue is that, I always been a Gator fan growing up, but, with Coach Raymond as a DB coach, it's amazing, to get that offer. It was really amazing.
Ohio State, a team that has put a ton of defensive backs into the league and the NFL. I'm not sure if you've made it up to Columbus, but Ryan Day and those guys, what do you like about them?
Coach Elmondale coach Sauce Gardner, and, I feel like if I get under someone that coaches Sauce Gardner, one of the top rookies in the NFL right now, I could get just like Sauce Gardner.
And then finally, Georgia, they're the one school that has a prediction on the 247 Sports crystal ball. Obviously, we all saw the Bulldogs win a national title on Monday night as they ran TCU out of the building. Georgia Bulldogs, what stands out about them?
With Coach Muschamp as a defensive coordinator, Coach Fran as a defensive back coach, I feel like those 2 right there can help me get to the next level. And, with Coach Kirby Smart is an amazing DB coach as well. He was an All-American DB growing up. So, getting his point of view of the game would be amazing.
All right, Jaylen, we're going to get to your announcement here in 1 minute. I got one final question for you. You're a defensive back, a guy that had over 40 tackles, 2 interceptions this past season, playing out on the boundary for the Rockledge Raiders. By the way, one of the best logos in the state of Florida, I think, for high schools and color schemes. Love that blue and red. But Jaylen, when I was at your school back in the spring, they were calling you AP, and I had to ask your coach, what's up with the AP? And they told me you used to be a prolific running back on the high school ranks. So tell us about your game, what you do well, and why you've made the change to the defensive side of the ball.
So I sat down with my coach, T-Ron, and, we came to the decision that defensive back would have been the best position for me, as my recruitment and, as just learning the way of life, you feel me? With that being said, I went to defensive back, and, I left running back alone for, a year, and, I got hurt my freshman year, but, I strived from that, I learned from that, and, sophomore year I came out with some vengeance, and, junior year that just came, and I had that year I had.
Well, we've liked what we've seen so far. Obviously, we have you ranked very high. Obviously, these schools and plenty of others want you to come play for them in the coming year. So, Jaylen, the floor is yours. Take your time. Let the world know where you're planning to sign and attend school after your senior season.
For the next 3 to 4 years, I'll be taking my talents to the University of Go Dogs.
Well, Jaylen, the crystal ball is right. Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs, they picking up another commitment, add to the nation's #1 ranked class in the 2024 cycle. Why Georgia?
Georgia was a great place for me when I went up there during the summer. Me and Kirby Smart really connected, after I went a little session in the office, and, I really love what he was telling me. And, me and Coach Muschamp sat down with Coach Fran, and they're amazing DB coaches. And I feel like getting under them will put me in the best situation I need to be.
When did you know Georgia was going to be the pick? Because it seems like this all happened really fast, and it all happened after Georgia made that statement on Monday night. Was this something that just kind of really came together here in this past week?
No, sir, it didn't. It was a long months. Since it's September 1st. Coach Muschamp's actually been hitting me up every day. That relationship with me and Coach Muschamp is amazing. I really like that coach, and I feel like getting under him will put me in the best opportunity.
Well, Georgia's won 2 college football playoffs in a row. Could be the early favorite to win another one next year. And then you're going to be coming in. I mentioned at Georgia, #1 ranked class in 2024. Already got some other good safeties committed. What is Georgia getting in you, and what are your goals when you arrive in Athens?
My goal is to, try to make the travel squad at first. So like trying to get on special teams early and, get in the depth chart and just try to make the travel team. And, Georgia's going to get a straight dog out of me, 100% out of the time. And you're going to get a funny, caring guy.
Well, Jaylen, we appreciate you coming on Commit HQ and announcing the news. I know you got a flight to catch. You're headed off to play some 7-on-7. Thank you again. And I'm sure all the Georgia fans are fired up that you are headed to Athens.
Yes, sir. I hope they are. You're going to get a straight dog.
Well, there you have it from Jaylen Heyward. I'm going to bring in now my colleague and my good friend, Steve Wiltfong, the director of recruiting for 247 Sports. Steve Wiltfong was all over this story. Steve, you had the crystal ball on Georgia. It seems like they had a ton of traction in the recruitment, but over the past few days, things really swung in favor for them. Just your initial thoughts on Jaylen Heyward, then I'll go and provide my insight on him.
Well, shortly after watching Georgia dismantle TCU in the national championship game, I get a message from him saying that he's committing soon. So I think that was what was the final inch in the process for a young man that has favored Georgia since he took that visit to Athens in the summer. And Georgia's adding a defensive back that can run and hit. He's a guy that has 10.5 speed in the 100-meter dash, and he's a very physical football player. He's instinctive. He's around the ball, forced 3 fumbles as a senior, picked off 2 more passes, and a guy that when needed, as you said in the interview there with him, they had him run the football, and he can be dynamic in that regard as well. I also like how humble he is. He's a guy that said he just wants to make the travel team in the first year, but we think he's much more capable of that as we rank him as the #2 safety in the country.
Yeah, that's a first. I've never heard it. Normally it's like, hey, I want to start, not, hey, I'm okay with just being on the plane. That was certainly a first. No, I compare him to Tyke Smith, the current Georgia defensive back, a guy that they use a little bit in the nickel on the inside. You could also play him on the outside. I think if you watch Jaylen, his junior high school tape, compared to Smith, who originally signed out of Philadelphia with West Virginia and then transferred into UGA, I think it's pretty similar. You mentioned that offensive background, really like that production and how he can run the football, but they played him on the outside as an outside cornerback. He can do bump and run coverage. You mentioned the speed, and Steve, I don't know if you've been around Jaylen. He has got a pretty promising frame, so they should be able to add some weight to him. And I think the statement here is, look, Georgia, #1 class already in 2024. Heyward is our #2 ranked safety. They already got Peyton Woodyard, our #4 safety. He committed last week at the All-American Bowl. And Steve, it sounds like they could be in the running for the #1 safety, KJ Bolden. I know you recently just wrote about him, a kid from there in the Peach State. So basically, Georgia just continues to load up on the defensive side of the ball after taking what we think is probably the best group of linebackers here in the 2023 cycle. Now they could have the best group of safeties in the 2024 cycle.
I think Georgia is tracking for maybe the best recruiting class in 247 Sports history. And I know that's something that's been thrown around a lot lately because Texas A&M did it 2 years ago. Alabama challenged it this year and have the second highest rated recruiting class in 247 Sports history. That goes back to 2010. But when you look at the names on the board for Georgia on both sides of the football as they hit the ground running in this 2024 cycle here, coming off a second national championship, I think it's going to be a special class. Jaylen Heyward included, who, as you said, brings a lot of versatility to the secondary, can play corner, nickel, or safety. And that's how Georgia wants their defensive backs, guys that they can scheme and erase mismatches and have the same personnel on the field, but give you different looks. So you bring up KJ Bolden. He's our #1 ranked safety in the country, but he's a young man that could also end up playing in Todd Monken's offense as a wide receiver. I don't think he's made a final decision on his position. I don't think Georgia's made any kind of indication where they want to use him. I like where Georgia stands for KJ Bolden right now as they battle the likes of Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, Tennessee, Clemson, to name a few other major contenders for him. But he's someone that could end up on offense. As we talk about some other high-profile defensive guys that they're in the mix for, you have Mike Matthews, who theoretically could also play wide receiver on the next level, right? He's our number one ranked athlete in the country. A guy that I'm sure is going to play defense in college but could play running back is Sammy Brown, the number one ranked linebacker in the country. He's not taking any visits this month because he's busy dominating on the wrestling mats right now, Andrew, but he's someone that I like Georgia for as it stands in his process. Clemson's certainly a major contender for Sammy Brown. He wants to visit Oklahoma, has a great relationship with Venables. Ohio State is in there to name another contender, but Georgia well positioned for the number one backer in the country, Sammy Brown. They have the number one edge rusher in the 247 Sports composite visiting this weekend in Colin Simmons. And I would just say that any person that they've offered that's ranked high on defense is someone that could be a real factor for them.
Hey, you forgot Ellis Robinson, our number one ranked corner in the class of 2024.
Absolutely.
He continues to bring up Georgia as well. I mean, you said it. This group has a chance to be special. Sammy Brown, Kirby Smart landed the helicopter there at his high school this morning. I think Georgia, they have 10 assistant coaches. Each one of them is trying to hit 10 schools today, so it's 100 coaches. I mean, those guys don't sleep. You win the national title on Monday night. You're out on the road recruiting Friday morning. That's just the nature of the beast, but that's why you get guys like Jaylen Heyward committed and guys who have the right mindset. Kirby talked about mindset, sticking with the mission after that national championship win. Well, Jaylen Heyward, our number 2 ranked safety, he doesn't think he's going to come in and start. He's just trying to hope he can make that travel roster. So we appreciate everyone joining us here on the 247 Sports YouTube channel for another Commit HQ. For Steve Wiltfong, I'm Andrew Ivins. Join us next time. And please, if you can, hit the like button, subscribe, leave rate, comment, all that stuff. And we'll see you guys next time.